Hey guys, Lynette here, and in today's video we are reviewing In the Heights. So let's get in and let's get into the review. Alright guys, welcome back. So like I said, we are reviewing the book called In the Heights, Finding Home. Now, for those of you who haven't watched the movie, I would definitely say watch the movie first that came out this summer before you actually dive into this book, because once you watch the movie, I never got a chance to watch the play that was in Manhattan, because at that point we moved out of the city and we were actually living on Long Island at that point. So I didn't get a chance to see the play. So when I watched the movie, I didn't see what the hype, I didn't understand what the hype was about the play. But after watching the movie and reading the book, it kind of puts everything into perspective on how awesome this movie coming out was. So first, spoiler, I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts, but spoiler, that movie was off the hook. We watched In the Heights at home when it first came out on HBO Max. My husband and I were there bawling, because if you don't know my background, I actually grew up in Brooklyn. My husband grew up in the Bronx, and if you ever wanted to know what it was like growing up in the city, minus the singing, you know, we did singing and dancing, but that's usually on outside house parties and stuff like that. But if you ever wanted to know how it felt to grow up in the city, that is exactly, it just put us back in our childhood. So it was definitely awesome. Now, if you love In the Heights book, if you loved In the Heights movie, or if you loved In the Heights play, this puts everything together. What I would suggest you guys do is not only get the book so that you can just have it there. There are photos in here. There's stories that I didn't know, and that's why I said I'm not going to give spoilers. The photos in here are so pretty, of the actual movie and the actual things that happened in the play. Like Lin-MANUEL played in the play the main character, and then Anthony Ramos plays the same character in the movie. The thing that I would say is, if you listen to an audiobook and look at the book at the same time, you kind of get it. I like listening to the audiobook because it was narrated by Lin-MANUEL, America Ferrera, but the parts that America Ferrera shared were like things that you didn't know in the background, but then Lin-MANUEL narrated how he was feeling and what he was thinking about the movie and the play, and what made this song come into play, and why did this song take so long? Why did a particular song take so long to put together? And what was he thinking at that moment? Why did they film in a certain area of Washington Heights, and why did they do it? It's just like, it's a love. The book it puts the movie and the play together, and I know I said that already, but it puts into perspective on how important the movie was to our culture. So I know when In the Heights, and I'm not going to go into the craziness of it, but I know when In the Heights first came out, there was a lot of controversy, and I think that was like social media controversy. Yes, there are things that could have been changed, and yes, but you know what? If our story doesn't even have a scratch of being told, then our story is never going to get told. So I was so proud to see my Puerto Rican heritage, my Dominican friends, my Cuban friends, my Mexican friends, because in a sense, and African American. When I grew up in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, we grew up in the biggest melting pot of the world. My husband, and that's how my husband and I got together. We were from two different boroughs, but it was like he understood my culture, I understood his, because it was like, that's how you were raised. It's not like, okay, they stay over there and that culture stays over there. No, when you go to the bodega, it's just a melting pot of what is in that area. We just all were raised together. And like I said, if you grew up in New York City, then in that time, back in the day, basically, gentrification happened now, so I can't say, because I haven't been back to the city in a while, if it looks the same. But back in my day, when I was growing up in like the 80s and 90s, it was just a melting pot of all of us struggling together to try to make it in the city and try to figure out our place. Like, the character that I related to the most was and this is just a little spoiler because I've seen Lin-Manuel say this in interviews, so it's not really a spoiler alert. But the person I related to the most was actually Nina. Nina was Puerto Rican, and her parents came to New York City from Puerto Rico. My mom was born in Brooklyn. She's Puerto Rican, and my father was Puerto Rican too. But he was raised in Puerto Rico, and born and raised in Puerto Rico. When your parents or your grandparents, when they come from a different country, like the issue with Nina was, where does she belong? Like, what would have happened if she was raised back on the islands? How would her life be? That is always, like, if you're Puerto Rican, that is always in the back of your mind. How would my life be different if I was raised on the island? So that was like, her part always messes me up, and I am not gonna get emotional, but I can't watch that movie without getting emotional because it just touched your heart. It makes you think of the struggles that your family go through just so that you can make it and be better than what they did. Like Nina's parents came here, he took his every last dime, made a business, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna give spoilers. He made a business so that she can do better and that he can sacrifice himself so that she can go to college, which, if your parents come from another country, you know that they would do in a drop of a dime. So love it, love it, love it. So like I said, just for if you love the movie, this is definitely a piece that you want to have in your collection. I've never been a person who actually buys. My husband is like a Marvel fan, so he gets everything from Marvel. I've never been the type of person to get like the hat and the shirt and the book. I've never bought a book from any movie in the world, but this movie touched my heart. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, I think Rotten Tomatoes has this movie at 95% or 94%. It's crazy. Like, this is definitely going to be like a cult classic, just how West Side Story was when that generation was growing up. That's when my grandmother was growing up. And yes, West Side Story, when it first came out, it was totally screwed up, and it didn't depict us in a good light the way that I hope that remake of that movie does. But for In the Heights, I say that if you love the movie, and if you're ever curious of, is that how they grew up in the Heights? Is that what they did? Is that how it felt? That's exactly how it felt. Nina and Benny are basically me and my husband, who basically just trying to figure it out all together in the city on how we can get better and just raise another generation of awesomeness. So I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys have watched In the Heights. What are your thoughts on In the Heights? But I love it, and I definitely recommend you getting the book. I definitely am grateful to put this on my bookshelf in my collection and watch In the Heights. I have to give it a couple months though, because it's just so emotional for me. Every time I watch it, I just cry, especially Abuela's part. So we're not going to think about it because we're not crying on the video. So with that being said, let me know what you guys thought. If you watched the movie, you listened to the audio, you got the book, let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought. And with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss another video. Have a good day, guys.